not all of the NFT collectibles are really aesthetically pleasing or aesthetically sophisticated. And that's what I like in digital fashion, that it elevates the NFT space. And so I look for the creativity in it.
Hi everyone, welcome yet to another episode of NewForum. NewForum is powered by NewCoin Foundation and is focused on fostering the expansion of decentralized social applications, also known as Social 3.0, by forming an ecosystem and a community of visionaries, creators, and investors to spark conversations on the topics of crypto, the metaverse, NFTs, and everything Web3.
And as always, we have yet another brilliant guest with us today, Katia. She's a founding member of the RED DAO and is also involved in different DAOs like DAO and Flamingo DAO. We're going to chat with Katia about digital fashion ecosystems, traditional brands versus Web3 native brands, and what happens to traditional brands who are reluctant to venture into Web3. In addition, she will talk about DAOs as an investing tool and collective, as well as investing in digital fashion. Hey, Katia, thanks for joining us on this episode of NewForum.
Hi ladies. Thank you for having me.
It's always nice to hear a bit about your background and experiences and why and how you got involved in Web3 or like the crypto space.
Sure. I started getting interested in the space in 2015, and when the Ethereum first sale, the Genesis block was mined. I remember witnessing it. It was super exciting. And before that, actually the same year, I also tried buying my first Bitcoin, but it was just like touching and feeling the space, not diving deep enough. And then in 2016, there was an interesting platform called Steemit, which was the first social media, blockchain-based social media. And that's where I thought it's a really interesting use case. I got more active. I was trying to understand how like the community is being formed around shared values, but not only intangible but tangible values too, such as the tokenomics. And so that was an interesting experiment too. And then I started investing with my partners in the layer one blockchains and more like the infrastructure investing. And that's the part of work I do with P2P Capital, which is a private investing firm. So we started it back in like 2016, doing mostly, infrastructural blockchains, from Ethereum to other L1s, inter-blockchain connectivity platforms like Polkadot, Cosmos, and later on continuing with the blockchain connectivity solutions like Connect, Hop, like the ones, layer twos, the ones that are building now to help Ethereum and like other L1s scale. But also at the same time, probably a year and a half ago, as also being one of the very few women in the space, I started being interested in more creative areas, not only like the technical side of it, which also like my partners are the strongest at. And I started personally looking in more like in the NFTs, and this NFT standard was just created, the ERC standard was just created. I think it was 2017. It was not too popular back then, but I thought it's a super interesting use case. And so when in 2019, there were two first investing DAOs, well, aside from the DAO, which was the biggest failure in the early days. So the two DAOs were being formed, Metacartel Ventures and the Allow. And I decided to join both of those DAOs just to experiment with how this collective investing works, and just to see where the space is gonna evolve. And so this is the other side of my investing profile. It's where I invest with the DAOs. So I'm a member of these DAOs. I explore different areas. I went into Flamingo DAO, which is like NFT and art based DAO, then in Noise DAO, which is a music NFTs, RED DAO, which is a digital fashion. And of course, I stay a member of DAO and Metacartel Ventures as more like VC type DAOs, more generic investing DAOs. And so, yeah, that's what I do till now.
Wow, what a journey. And, I also admire that you have so many different arms of so many different areas that you're into, like in the DAO space. And I'm wondering, we also, we heard a lot about RED DAO, and I'm wondering, digital fashion is quite huge now in the Web3 space. And what are you looking at when investing into digital fashion or other products that you pursue when investing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because the space is still shaping and there's no like perfect answer to that. Like if you ask me, what do I look at like a typical startup, there's a startup pitch deck and a number of features that you're looking at and which can help you evaluate it. When you look in the new fields like digital fashion, there are a lot of things coming into the mix. So first of all, of course, it's the aesthetical part of it. And that's what I like about digital fashion, because in the NFT movement as a collectibles, we've seen a lot of community building, we've seen a lot of culture, but at least to my personal taste, not all of the NFT collectibles are really aesthetically pleasing or aesthetically sophisticated. And that's what I like in digital fashion, that it elevates the NFT space. And so I look for the creativity in it. Another interesting side is, because it's digital fashion, I think the first instinct was to just do a regular fashion in 3D, but I think digital fashion is much more than that. And while like just having 3D garments is a good use case for like, you can have Zoom calls and your 3D outfits. But what I'm interested in is when digital fashion, it actually overcomes the boundaries of textile, of space, of physics. So when you see and you can wear digitally something that you would never be able to wear in real life. That's from like the collector's perspective purely, but also there's the investor side of it. And whenever you are collecting something, it doesn't matter if it's digital fashion or just general fashion or art. I think you should always see, why should this retain value? And when I'm thinking about this, I'm looking at, first of all, the provenance. So who is the designer and what's the history of this designer? I see a lot of some traditional brands are getting the Web3 space and really trying to build a community there, while the others, I feel like they're just trying to jump on the NFT train and just earn a quick revenue on that. And this is kind of where you get the sense, is the designer really trying to build something unique, or the designer is just trying to make a 3D garment just to sell it to the crazy NFT crowd. This is not a very technical measure, but you are trying to see it by the community building and what's behind the fashion piece. Like, what is it going to give you going forward? Are you going to be, and I'm going into the second thing, is wearability. Digital fashion is a little bit different from the other NFTs and art, is that it has to be wearable. So far, it's still a lot of work in progress, because so far most of digital fashion is just collectible. So you buy it and you own it in your wallet and you enjoy it. But then ideally, a lot of integrations have to happen so that you can make it wearable. And that's what I look in the projects or in the designers when they're selling digital fashion. What are your integrations? Who do you plan to work with? Where will I be able to wear it or show it off? Even like, are you working with Decentraland? Are you working with Ready Player Me avatars, for example? So integrations, future usability, and community building, aside from the static value, is kind of the fundamentals to me so far.
I think you touched a little bit on it, but I saw a post of yours on Twitter, and it says, still wondering why the most valuable NFT collections are often the least aesthetically appealing. And at least this trend doesn't persist in #digital fashion. I found that quite interesting, and I want to know more about what was going on in your mind, or what had you seen earlier on the day before the day you posted this.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of thoughts of mine and conversations with my peers about that. And I think it was coming with the Yuga Lab sale of the Bored Ape lands. And I was just thinking about how far, and I respect the Yuga Labs a lot. I think it's a great project that managed to do a lot, even though the recent sale was a little bit difficult due to gas wars and everything. But anyway, I think they did an amazing project, and Bored Ape Yacht Club, they really created cultural phenomenon. But I was also thinking, okay, do I really like the mutant ape, like aesthetically, right? And I mean, maybe some people, a lot of people might, I personally don't really like the ape with a like green brain pouring out of it. And there are a lot of other projects. Well, CryptoPunks are more neutral to me, but again, that's a cultural phenomenon. Do you really think there is a lot of like aesthetic value in like a few pixels? No. Well, CryptoPunks are different. I can say they aren't, at least like, they aren't ugly. They're kind of cool. But some of the projects are really like borderline, right? Like there will be like dead fellows. Such a cool project, right? But they're little zombies. So I was thinking, oh, toads, right? Not the prettiest animal in the world, right? And crypto toads, again, are one of the soaring projects. So I was thinking, why so many popular projects are based on the little, on those images of something that's not really aesthetically appealing, but it achieves a goal of creating a lot of movement around it, and a lot of culture around it. Yeah, and I was thinking maybe that's unique to like the Web3 crowd, that we really like to push away even the traditional and conventional notions of aesthetics. And we don't want to like try to copy the Web2 and the traditional world, and we want to create our own aesthetics. And that's why we create our movements around the mutant apes and little zombies. Yeah, but at the same time, if you look at digital fashion trends, it doesn't go around something like more crazy. It's still more feminine dresses. Yes, it will be the dresses that are made out of bubbles or floating in the air, but it's still aesthetically sophisticated and more pleasant, to put it this way. And I don't want to claim to be like of any objective measurement here. So it was like very personal reflection of like how the NFT collectible world is shaping and of digital fashion shaping up.
In the 80s, you had the punks, the real punks, and now you have the Twitter punks, the crypto punks. And it's like, I don't know, there is this, like you said, the art is not really like, it doesn't speak a lot of volume. It's based around maybe like comic characters or, pixels. And it's a very interesting topic that maybe you could analyze in like a whole bachelor thesis or something, but to see this cultural movement in the crypto space happen. And you also mentioned, Katia, you're part of different DAOs. And I'm wondering, like, what is your experience so far with being in these DAOs? What do you like about them? Maybe where you see the potential to improve, and also investing in DAOs. Let's touch a bit on that after going into the DAO conversation.
Yeah, I might actually start from the end and explain a little bit why I chose to doing investing through DAOs. And so one of the reasons is because my main DAO investings are those that are operating in different NFT areas. And in that areas, you either have to be in it full time and analyze the NFTs and watch the trends, or rather both of that, also have millions of dollars to operate and to make the bets on, like, I couldn't be possibly purchasing all the music, all the art, and all the fashion that I love. So, but I still want to get exposure to it. And I think one of the bad strategies is trying to be a small investor and try to pick your own little NFTs here and there if you are making an investment bet. I do some as a collector. I like something, it's aesthetically pleasing, I just want to own it. But if you also want to be an investor, you can do it through a traditional structure as a fund. There are funds that invest in NFT space, or you can do it through a DAO, which is a Web3 native kind of fund. So that was my way of getting an exposure to the areas that I really love. And also, and actually most importantly, is to get access to this brain power of this amazing people who are also the members of the DAO. Because for all of these DAOs, you have to be vetted, you have to be invited. Like, there's very good screening for people who come in, and they're all interested in being active in contributing to the DAO and help the peers learn too. So that's why I chose to be in these DAOs. And to your first question, what's my experience and my thoughts about this as a form of an investment vehicle? Well, it changed through the last 2 years since I first joined the DAOs. First, I looked at the DAOs as like the new corporations, like, oh, DAOs are going to replace the existing companies. DAOs are going to replace like the big corporations. And it's still probably going to happen to a certain extent. But now I'm thinking, as the metaverse trend is coming up more and more, I'm thinking the DAOs are the first gateway to the metaverse. Like DAOs are actually going to be metaverses. Now we just have metaverses in 2D. To me, I live in several metaverses. They're just in 2D, they're in Discord servers. So what we need is to build like the actual virtual worlds to it. But to me, DAOs are, yeah, they're like little worlds of their own, because you communicate with the people that share the same interests as you are. You are hanging out with people that you enjoy conversing with. And yeah, and you talk about the topic that you all are interested in. So that's, to me, a little metaverse of its own. And so, yeah, I'm started lately thinking about Discord service as really like small baby metaverses that are actually going to grow into real metaverses as the tech stack is being built. So that's kind of my current view of the DAO ecosystem.
I mean, we touched a little bit about digital fashion. And so I'm wondering, do you think there's going to be like a future for digital fashion in the metaverse? And if yes, how will this impact the fashion industry overall? And what happens to brands who are reluctant to venture into the metaverse? And then the last part of my question is, will fashion brands exist separately in the metaverse? So maybe we can start with the first part. Is there a future for digital fashion in the metaverse?
It definitely is, in my opinion, but I think it's a little bit further down the road that we hope for it, because now the designers' creations and the digital fashion garments are so way ahead of the metaverses. So you can purchase them and the quality is fantastic. If you look at the textile and the movements, sometimes I had to zoom on the screen because I couldn't believe at the quality of the rendering of the textile that you can have on the digital fashion garment. So yes, but this is way ahead in terms of the infrastructure. There are really few places where now you can put it on, except for like putting Web3 on Web2. What I mean by that is putting your picture and posting it on Instagram in digital fashion. It's still a good use case, and a lot of people do that. And I think it's like this digital try-ons and rendering is a good use case, but I think digital fashion is much more than that. It's but it's still too early. So it definitely has the future, but I think we have to be patient, because now we're still in a mode of building, and it's still too early. And like the metaverses we have now are still kind of primitive in terms of like the tech. Some of them, I don't want to be judgmental like that, because some of the projects that I've seen and like the small like fashion shows, for example, they were incredible, but we want more of that. And we want more integration so that you can use most of your digital fashion items in the metaverse, in the meeting. Even now, if I could use a digital dress just now in a Zoom call with you, I would love to do that. And I mean, some of the things you can, but still, it's not easy. Like if I could just, drag and drop it to probably will have to use a Web3 service then, not a Zoom call, but that's a different topic. So yeah, there's definitely a space for digital fashion in the metaverse, but it's still too early for that. And to your second question about the brands, there are different opinions on that, even within the RED DAO, about the traditional fashion brands and their place in the metaverse. I think some of them will find their niche, the ones that are early now in building the community and coming to Web3, understanding the Web3 culture, not trying to just sell it to the people who have a lot of cryptos. And that's what I kind of sometimes sense. But some of the brands are really trying to get the Web3 culture to move in that direction too. And I think they will be successful. There will be successful traditional brands in the metaverse. But I think we'll see more and more Web3 native designers. And that's what I'm the most interested in, because they will build all the crazy things, and we want crazy things, we want crazy new tools. We want digital fashion items that change with your mood, like kinetic clothing that, you share your status on Twitter or on any other social network, and it feeds into an oracle that makes your dress turn red, or, your shoes start burning in flames, things like that. You can build oracles in your outfit and if it's raining, maybe, it builds a little jacket on top of your dress. I know some brands, like Web3 native brands, they experiment with this already. But what I'm saying is there is a place for traditional fashion, but the thing I'm most interested in is Web3 native designers and brands. I think that's where the innovation will come from.
I agree with you, because I also see, like, if you have a heritage brand, like a traditional brand, it takes a bigger leap of faith, or a bigger risk involved is when you venture into this space. And if you are like a younger brand, and you have more like the audience as well that is like native to the digital world, and then I feel like they have an advantage in this case to just try things successfully or not. But yeah, and also what you said about that we're going to wear them. I believe so. Like, I believe that we're going to have digital fashion in the future, maybe in filters or VR, AR every day. And you can just go on the street and film, you have your normal shirt on, but you can put a filter or something like that. And it's really interesting in terms of world building, what is possible, but we're not there yet with the technical things, I guess. And yeah, I'm wondering, exactly to that question, like, what do you think about gaming, VR and AR? What is the potential there in the metaverse?
I'm still thinking there's a huge potential in VR, even though I think it's been said like 10 years ago when VR was just taking off. And apparently the hardware is hard. It's hard to make the good hardware. So during the last 10 years, it couldn't really take off. The VR sets are still clumsy. And I mean, some people use it. I know some kids are using it more than grown-ups, but still, I think the tech is not there yet. Again, the hardware more in that case, not the tech stack, but the hardware is not there yet. I have headaches if I look at the VR headset for a long time. So I think that's the main kind of roadblock for the development of the VR worlds and all of that, like the VR, like the metaverses that we enter through the VR. But I think once we kind of break this gate, that's going to be much easier once the sets are going to be cheaper, less clumsy, the quality better, all of that. I think these are honestly the more like old school tech problems that we need to solve before building this like amazing VR experiences.
I'm just thinking there's so many use cases where you can also learn through VR, and we had a guest on, and she shared her experience about designing with other creators through the headset, and I was like, wow, that's an amazing tool that you can now enter this virtual world and design with other creators from all around the world. And honestly, I can't wait to see more. And I'm so happy we had you on, Katia, and you could share your perspective about what it's like being in a DAO, investing in a DAO. And yeah, I'm wondering where we can find our listeners, where they can find you on social media. And yeah.
Sure. My Twitter is Katia and me. It's like my dual personality. And you can also follow RED DAO. I think it's RED and 3_ DAO on Twitter. RED DAO also has its Instagram. I don't have mine, but RED DAO has. For those of you who are still on the web to social media, you can use Instagram. So yeah, these are the best ways to stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Katia. And I'm pretty sure our community will be searching for you now. I'm gonna make sure I follow you and check out everything you're working on. And I'm still processing your definition and perspective on the metaverse and DAO. So thank you so much for this insightful conversation. Thank you, Joy. Thank you all for being a part of today's forum. If you want to get more involved in our community, make sure to follow us on our social platforms, IG, newcoin.nco, and our website is newcoin.org. We will have all the links in the description below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.